Hello, everyone. This is Between Two Teachers. This is our, what do you call it? Video podcast, vlog. I don't know what they call it. But here we are and going on how many? It's several years now, giving our opinions about education because we are two teachers dedicated and concerned, retired, but not retired. And we want to bring you the current issues of what's going on. And there's a lot, there's always a lot. Uh, and what our big concerns are, both nationally and statewide, and then in our local school districts and the county, because I'm on the county board. So we want to just bring you up to speed on what's going on out there and also some call to action many times. So I want to welcome you. And my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as Consuelo said, we've done this many times before. This is episode number 228. That's where we are. We're at 228.
Oh my gosh.
We begin each episode with our labor and body recognition and our land acknowledgement, because we believe it's important to center ourselves on the work that we do. So the labor and body recognition has been drafted by Dr. Rochelle Rogers Ard, and she drafted this for West Contra Costa Unified School District. So we are going to share out the labor and body recognition from Dr. Rogers Ard. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor of survivors over the centuries to today of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as the United States. That is from Dr. Rogers Ard. And then from our land acknowledgement for our Indigenous people. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Hui Chin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland, and offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people of the past and present. And we absolutely encourage you to learn more about the Ohlone people and to encourage the use of curriculum that does share out their history. And you can find that curriculum on the East Bay Regional Park District website, as well as you can find information about how to support the Justice for Muwekma initiative, because the Muwekma people have yet to be included as a recognized tribe and receive the benefits of being a tribe. And hopefully I will look into that and give us an update on where they are with that. But as far as I know right now, that battle is still one that needs to be resolved so that they become beneficiaries of the funds that are available and resources available to federally recognized tribes. We also have a curriculum around the Ohlone people on the County Board of Education, the County Office of Education website, right?
Yes, absolutely. There is a place on the website under about CCCOE. And if there's a link, a drop down link that goes to land acknowledgement. And it tells you all about putting together land acknowledgement. There's a map about the tribes that are in our county, etc. So it's really a good resource to use in the schools and other places. So yes.
And the other resource that we have also for the justice, the Southern Poverty Law Center has a Learning for Justice page with classroom resources. So this is for teaching with respect to social justice standards. And they divide them into 4 groups: identity, diversity, justice, and action. So you can easily find that. I've posted this on our Facebook page, but you can find it by Googling SPLC, Learning for Justice, and you can get to their the curriculum as well. And we share that out because everybody, this curriculum is really appropriate materials, not only just for younger children, but also for older students and adults, right? And it really can reframe your thinking around our history. And that is really an important part of what we all need to do here in order to become a successful country. We have
a lot of these are, excuse me, under attack, ethnic studies and diversity and equity and inclusion. I mean, it's just being attacked and people want to eliminate it. And it's a strong effort to just not value diversity. And so it's really important as much as we can to bring this issue forward and to discuss it.
It is absolutely under attack. And it's one of the first things I did want to talk about was what that looks like. And it's insidious, but it's so incredibly, it's growing everywhere. And it's become something that is, we wouldn't have thought was going to be acceptable, but yet it certainly is now today. I wanted to speak about Hanover County. And Hanover County has done something, and when one school district does this, it means that there are others not far behind. And what they have done in an effort to be sure that family members, that students in their schools are not going to become aware of the gender identities of their teachers. And whether or not a teacher might be in a same-sex family, right? Have a same-sex marriage, all completely legal in every state in the union. This is not like this is illegal. But in order to make sure that there wouldn't be any inadvertent opportunity for students to see a picture of a teacher's family, they simply have banned all pictures. They have banned everything, including student artwork, because students come from same-sex families. And if you ask them to draw a picture of their family, they might draw it. So we're not going to show that. All of that is banned. And the only thing that they're showing in their classrooms would be material that is specifically connected to the curriculum that they're teaching. So posters that are put together by the textbook companies that they're buying the posters from, who are very aware of these kinds of restrictions. All right, this is to ban classrooms of staff family photos and all student artwork. That is amazing to me, that is the direction they're going in.
Yeah, and I don't know, it just seems like that's unconstitutional, or that it's civil rights of the teachers, and there's got to be some way to fight that. It seems like
well, I mean, this is the culture war.
Yes,
this is the culture war. That literally is what we're talking about, and this really truly is the war. So I mean, it's working there, so you can see that it'll go somewhere. It'll spread.
Yeah,
it will spread, and we just need to recognize the fact that this is not that this is a battle that it seems like we're just at the beginning of. right? And depending on what happens in November, if this country goes in a more conservative direction, we may not even have a Department of Education.
Yeah, it's gonna get even worse. It will get.
Right, it could definitely get worse. The other thing that's happened now in this week, Louisiana has required the 10 Commandments to be in every public school classroom.
Saw that, yeah.
All right, now there'll be a lawsuit over that, but who knows what the it'll go to the Supreme Court, and who knows what the Supreme Court will say.
That's right, yeah. And
Right.
I heard this in conjunction with the fact that they were eliminating school lunches. So we'll give you the 10 Commandments, but take away the children's food. The children who need food.
Well, and so Louisiana has done it. Louisiana has it, you know, and they've got the size of the font. It has to be readable, has to be in a font that's a certain size, and it has to be on a certain size piece of paper, and right in the front of the classroom in every classroom. So there's that. And the next thing is the lawmakers in Texas, South Carolina, and Utah are also bringing similar legislation.
Whoa. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
So it's not, this is the whole thing. As we move forward, as one state does it, these are all states that think alike, right? And they don't want one. If you can do that, well, we can do it. And they're right. It's just a matter of bringing the same piece of legislation and putting it before your own legislators.
Yeah,
so
these things are so similar. I don't think that they necessarily grow from the community. I think there's groups of people that are going around and convincing more conservative people, oh, you know, this state over here, and we got money, we can help you pass this.
Well, no, it's ALEC. There's an organization, ALEC, that is a conservative organization that drafts legislation and just makes it available to people they help get elected. And they have meetings and they say, you know, you got elected because this is what you told your constituents you were going to do. Here, we're going to help you do it.
Yeah.
Right. So what this is about is that we need to be really conscious. People need to, who have other opinions and more liberal opinions, they have to vote. And that's a big thing. If you're not voting, and if the majority of people who vote are voting and people who are going to do this is what is going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah, we've got to be all aware of it. This push is really strong. It's not going to go away. You know, if you don't pay attention, then this is what's going to happen.
It absolutely, and it is happening. So this is the thing. Now in California, we've had some recalls lately, and they have recalled some conservative school board members, right? So they have woken up. The community woke up and they said, no, this is too conservative for us. We're gonna recall somebody, and that's been successful. But that's unique to us. And the fact that what happens is, to do a recall, you have to organize. There have to be people who are really energized and willing to put the time and commitment into bringing somebody out.
Yeah.
And that has happened. We've had a number of recalls recently in California. So I did want to talk about, just say we all need to recognize the work that we have to do. You just have to pay attention. And if you don't, there are other people who are definitely paying attention who will bring these ideas forward, and it could come here too if we're not careful.
Yeah, it's a real call to action here with this. Stay involved, be informed, and see what you can do locally. If you're a teacher, if you're a parent, especially, you know, look into it, see what's going on in your community, and you know, be aware of that.
It really is true, right? And it also has to do with other states where this is really catching on across the country, are the voucher programs, which are essentially making sure that private schools can get public money. right? Although now, if you're going to have the 10 Commandments in it, you're sort of becoming a private school to begin with. You're becoming a parochial school, right? It's just a very interesting set of directions that we're moving into. But this private school vouchers, the vouchers are catching on. And what happens with the vouchers, the big problem with the vouchers is that they don't put more money into the program, and the kids who are already in the private schools then qualify for the money. And that means that the pot of money available for public school children gets smaller and smaller.
Yep.
That's just what happens, right? Because nobody is saying, oh, look, what we really want to do is pay for the private schools, so we'll just put all this extra money in so we can pay for private schools. No,
Doesn't work that way. No.
that's what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. So there's,
You know, one thing that I'm always thinking in terms of the teacher shortage, if I was a teacher right now and I was required to have the 10 Commandments in the front of my room, do I want to stay in this profession? Do I want to stay in this? You know, think about the teacher shortage and how
or I have to take away, I can't put a picture of my family on my desk.
picture my kids and my spouse. And when we think about the teacher shortage, it's just driving people away from
Right.
wanting to be teachers. So that's the other
Right.
part of this. So
There's no question that that is, you know, that's always the other side of it, right? And so the schools that then when you grow the voucher schools, who are these schools? These are schools that have no unions,
that's right. That's right.
right? That's where the jobs would be. So they're totally unprotected. They don't have any of the protections that come with being together in a union and able to negotiate as a group,
Yeah.
right?
What you're learning, working conditions, like all of that. You don't have
Right. Right. No, they don't have that. And so that's what we're trying to, you know, that's what these types of legal strategies, right? Of growing vouchers. This is what it grows. It's what it grows. I wanted to give a shout out here to regarding charter schools. And this is to the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, CCAP, who have given a conference this week in Irvine, California, that has been a very powerful conference. And the deal with charter schools is they exist in California, and that is true. And what the process is that they are overseen by school districts and county boards of education. And that process is one that people need to, as there's turnover in elected officials, people need to learn what that process is and follow it. And one of the things that's happened in California and throughout the country is because you have declining enrollment, you also have struggles in these schools, right? And the process of how you close a school in a district is very different than how you close a charter school. And that's something that board members need to understand and the public needs to understand.
Yeah, we have several Contra Costa County, several schools that we oversee, and 4 of those are in our area. Area 1, you know, those schools are there, and so this is something that's really interesting. I'm very interested in, and we have a school that it needs help. You know, it's floundering. So there's a lot of different ways to go with that, and it's a little bit of a struggle because you know there is the pro charter and not pro charter, and so what do? We give them a continual pass all the time to continue to losing money and low performance and low enrollment. And I mean, we wouldn't allow that in a public school, for this to go on.
Well, there are strategies, right? There are all of these public school improvement strategies that the state brings in, and that a district can bring in themselves, right? Depending on their size. the charter world is different. They don't have those strategies because the reason they have a charter is because they basically came in and said, I have a better idea. And that's why you're starting the charter, because you have a better idea and you know that, you know how you're going to move that idea forward. But if that idea doesn't work, then what happens is you close the charter, or the people who authorized you to start it close it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole purpose of these charter schools, the thing that they bragged about is that they were superior to the public schools at every level. We do everything better, we're more innovative. And that's what I always looked for. I was a teacher for 38 years. What do you do that's innovative? And I have gone to every single school in this district, charter school. I have not seen one innovative thing. The only thing is they're allowed to have very small schools and small classrooms, and they have money to have extra staff. Well, that's not innovative. That's, resources. And when we've had those resources, we've had incredible results. I remember Helms. I remember, there are many
Right.
in our districts that have been just turned over by terrific staff. So you can't tell me that somehow they're innovative when they've got all these, get arounds and entitlements and things. So, so when they're floundering, well, it shouldn't exist. It needs to close. That's the bottom line. But then on the other hand, at the other part of that is the students. I'm very concerned about students. I think it's traumatic when your school closes because they're just kids and these are their friends, and it's these are the relationships that they've been built.
Right. And charter schools can close in the middle of a year, which we have seen, right? And that doesn't happen with a district school, right? You go through this whole process and it becomes very public. So that's one of the things that we're trying to look at is how do we best support what are the systems that need to be put in place to support the families that make a choice to go to a charter school or as you were saying, a choice to transfer to a different district, right?
Yes, which some of these families may. So I mean, quite honestly, it doesn't look good for this particular school. So the other thing I'm concerned about is that the students have a soft landing, and we discussed the district that they're in needs to offer that, in some way, reach out to families and say,
right. And they need, and somebody, it doesn't seem to be part of the process to think about it through their lens, right? And the teachers who would be receiving them have no knowledge that they even exist.
Yeah.
Right. So they cannot reach out.
Yeah.
They have no way to reach out because they don't know that this is even a problem. They don't know that those students are there. They don't know any of that. And no one's telling them.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's the connection that needs to be made, but it doesn't seem like anybody believes that it is the connection that needs to be made.
Yeah, and that's definitely something the county could be doing as over to the other districts and things like that. So we're going to talk more about this. It's going to be a biggie for us about charter schools. We're always wanting to talk about the latest issues around those. And things always come back to policy, don't they? Policy.
They do.
We need to look at our policies.
That's how you address things, right? It's what policies you're finding, and what we do is we inherit the policies that we inherit when you take office, and the idea is to take a look at them and see do they still work?
Exactly.
Right? They must have worked. Somebody put it in at one point because there was a reason, and now the question is that reason still appropriate?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
So we were going to share out about interdistrict transfers. Now that is another interesting set of policies.
Yeah, let me share my experience here. So the Contra Costa County Board of Education is an appellate, can be one of its jobs is to be an appellate uh, agency to hear appeals from parents who are trying to transfer from one district to another for a
So this is the thing. People don't realize if you live in a certain community that's in a certain school district, your taxes go to support that school district. If you want to send your child outside of that district, you have to, the school district that you live in has to agree to let you do that. This is a whole question as to whether that should even exist, but it does. And that's how it goes. So that school district, if they say, all right, well, now we'll allow you to go, then the other district has to say, oh, okay, we will accept you, right? That's the process. And
Yes.
if they don't, if either one of these don't, then the family can appeal to the county
Yes.
that they're in.
So they schedule a meeting with us and the administrator of it, and we then have these are outside of board meetings. They're not board meetings. They're not usually public. Although a parent can request that a meeting be an open meeting, so a parent can do that if they wanted to have people there and watch. But
they're talking. I mean, the parent is sharing their private family issues.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. And they come, and it's usually the last resort, I'm sure. But they have a lot of different issues. The childcare situation. There's a school close to their work, or in some cases, their school of residence is further away than a school. They're that close to a border to where a school is like within walking distance, who's from another district. We've had that too. So they, are trying to work out childcare, working out transportation issues, programs that their child needs. Bullying sometimes is going on that has not been resolved, and they need safety. Safety is another big issue as well. So those are very personal, issues for a family, and so they want to request a transfer. So their district of residence has to agree and say, okay, you can apply to go somewhere else, no problem. Or the only case that I've seen of, they'll say, no, we have severe declining enrollment and we'd like you to stay because we need your ADA, which is really, it just, I thought that was.
This makes so little sense. I mean, when you honestly think about it, if my family needs to have a child go to a different district because that's where grandma lives and grandma's going to pick him up after school, how does that impact your declining enrollment? What is that? It is totally separate. And there's when you think about it, why would that even be something that rationally a district could say? I mean, it really comes back to the district owns you. Why would the district own you? Right? Why can't it just makes no sense.
Yeah. And then oftentimes the poor family gets asked questions like, well, why can't you just have somebody pick them up and take them here and pick them up there? And that, well, it costs money, extra money for that. Or, I mean, just telling the parent, basically, you're not doing a good job. You need to solve this problem yourself, basically. And almost no questions are asked, of the district. And so, again, we need to go back to looking at the policies around these issues and eliminate some of those things like, oh, we can deny it if we have declining enrollment. That doesn't make any sense at all. So that's one.
It so doesn't, because you know what? I can move my whole family and then your declining enrollment will even be more.
There you go. Yeah, I got 10 other kids. I'm gonna move them all out. So, uh, it's just crazy. So the other thing is that they can deny you coming to a district. Now that's the thing that's really I think shady, because they can be as picky as they want to be and look at your income or look at your, who knows what they're looking at, and just say, oh no, we can't, we don't have enough room, we don't have, the teachers, we don't. So there's all kinds of reasons that they can come up with to exclude. That's the thing that bothers me, is that this is a process for exclusion of students out of a particular district. And given our history, redlining and all of that, we need to be particularly cautious around those decisions, and who is being kind of counseled out of moving, and who's allowed to move in. So that's another sticky.
This is not a new problem, but it but it continues to be a problem, and it's the kind of thing that we can continue to look at in terms of addressing it as far as policies go, and really just say, what is open enrollment? What is public education in California? How does, what should open enrollment look like? Should we have district lines that prohibit children from going from one zip code into another? The phrase, your education is determined by your zip code. This is where it comes from.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, it does. And so, I mean, and again, as all of this, who wants to go into education? But those are the kinds of things that these are the roots of these things, the policies and the values. I tried very hard to get a values, agreement among the electeds on the board, but people resist that. People don't want to talk about values. And
right, because if you have a value around equity, right, if you have a value around, I'm looking at this through the lens of the child, and that's where the value is, then you're not talking about declining enrollment.
No. That to me, the values are like the foundation of a house, and you've got to come to agreement on what those values are. And a lot of places don't do that, and things crumble, and you got to build them back up, and they crumble, and you got to build them back up. I mean, it's not stable. It's not stable. And I just really feel like that's where the work has to. What are our values, and what's the lens we're looking at in terms of the decisions that we make as policy makers and as electeds? So those are real big issues. That's an ongoing one. I will have more information about that as well.
And also about ways that the deal with policies is, policies are there because somebody had the intention to do something. And if we want to change a policy, we just have to have the intention to do something, and then speak to the policymakers, right? With the voice saying, I'm not the only one who thinks this way. Here is a policy that I think we need to change. And these are the kinds of things that we could do as retired teachers, as grandmothers, as community members. And it absolutely is true that it takes just a small number of people to be committed to make a change. And these are policies that we have inherited that are not serving our families.
Exactly. And so we're going to keep bringing these up, and
we're going to look at how to move it so that it does make sense.
Yeah.
And does serve who we have today. Okay, I'm going to go to a couple of brilliant ideas so that we end this on a very up note, just to talk about ideas that people have had that have come forward and been successful. And one of them is from a gentleman who is a principal of the year, and I think he's educator of the year in the New England. And he basically came up with an idea that would change PD. And PD is professional development. And teachers are required to continue to improve their practice And there are different ways this is done. There are companies that sell PD, and consultants will come out and do PD, and some of it is very effective. A lot of it is just, they're trying to have one size fits all. It doesn't always fit at all, right? It could be not connecting to what you're doing. So he knew that his teachers were looking at PD and really felt it was a waste of their time. And he changed it in his school so that instead of PD, they had an action research project and studied the implementation of an instructional or engagement strategy that they started in that, whatever it was that they saw that they would like to try. They tried in their classroom, and then they recorded and came back and shared it with their colleagues. Much more effective and impactful, and also giving agency to the teachers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Teachers as researchers, for sure.
That's it. He said, we wanted our teachers to become reflective practitioners.
Yeah.
If they are using a particular instructional strategy, they should figure out if it's effective for them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, that just has so much. You've got to look back at your teaching strategies and evaluate, do some self-evaluation about it. Then you have to have some way of measuring success with the students. So you're involved in that process. You do that yourself and determine whether was this successful or not.
Right.
Then you need to transfer it in a way you can share with a colleague so that they can see it and they share it. And the great thing is, you're always there. That person can come in. How did you guys do that again? Or what did, the follow up. That's one of the key things they say about professional development. It's one and done.
Yeah, exactly. And if you ever tried it, who knows if you ever try it, right? So
exactly. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. I might do it. Maybe shelve it.
Yeah, maybe someday I'll put it in a file, right? As opposed to this, which is just really saying this is development. We are continually developing our professionals, and you are trying new things, and that's who we are. We're a group of people, and that's how we do professional development. We are reflective practitioners.
I love that the expert can be my neighbor over here.
Right. And the deal is, what a surprise then that his school is successful. Yeah. Right? What a surprise that he has lower teacher turnover. Why? Because people want to work there, right? Yes, people want to stay there.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I think I want to teach here. I'm going to stay here forever.
Right. Why would I leave? Right?
I'm never going to leave. See, there you go. That's the difference.
That's the difference. But that's the mindset. He had a different lens. So he threw out the old way of doing professional development.
Yes.
He just doesn't do it that way. He just doesn't do it that way. So I was very impressed by him. My last one, and this is my big shout out because I think we're here at the end, and this one has to do with a huge problem that so many districts have now around absenteeism. So my shout out is to kindergarten teacher Diana Dickey. And Diana Dickey is in a school that had absentee problems in kindergarten. And what Miss Dickey did was come up with a solution. So what she did was on her whiteboard, which is in her kindergarten class, she has a large dry erase. She's drawn a big heart. And above the heart is a gallery where she has magnetized photos of each one of the children in her classroom. And when a child is absent, whenever a child is absent, they, at the beginning of the day, move that child's photo into the heart, right into the heart. And then they begin with a song every morning. And if there's a child absent, they sing, boom, boom, pow. We miss you and we wish you well, to the child whose picture is in the heart. And if there are no children absent, then they sing a big celebration song saying they're celebrating that everybody is there.
That's just, I think about being at home thinking, I bet they're singing a song to me.
Yeah, right, right. So if you were sick, you know that they're doing that. You know your picture is in there and they're singing a song to you, right? That is really building community. We're talking about what does it look like to build community,
Building community, building community.
right? And the consequences of that, of her doing that, and she didn't always do that. She did that because what came up was kindergarten had the highest absentee rates because families didn't think it was important and the kids didn't think it was important. It doesn't matter, but it really is important because if you lose one day, you lose the day before, you forget what you did that day, you lose the day after. You should not just stay home if you have a little sniffles, right? That was, COVID is over. We can, we can come back to school. This strategy that Miss Dickey put in has turned around her absentee problems.
It's just adorable. I love it. Shout out to her.
Shout out to her and I'm sure the other kindergarten teachers. Well, we're not the only people who've noticed that you did this, and that's because her school wrote her up because what happened? People looked at the numbers and said, "You used to have an absentee problem, now you don't." What is the thing that changed? It's sticky.
Oh, that is just too cute. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I want to.
So that's it. That's our this week.
Yes, yes. No, I want to mention somebody's name again. Sarah Butler, my colleague, who just is. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you what she means to me. And this, she is just an amazing person.
And she has spent this out in the field in Irvine, and she will come back with all sorts of new information, right? To continue to work and look at the lens of student success and the lens of our families.
She sure does. So shout out to her. Absolutely, absolutely. Do we want to tell people about a celebration that invite them to for tomorrow?
Sure, go ahead.
There's a Juneteenth celebration and parade and festival tomorrow morning in Richmond and
Nickel Park. So if you want to see us, we'll be there. I will be there at one of the tables, and there'll be many celebrations of success, and from and the children of West Contra Costa, the African American Honor School honor students will be there, along with many other groups in the Richmond community. So Nickel Park tomorrow, I believe the parade's like at 9:30, and the event at Nickel Park is from probably 10 to 2 or 4.
Yeah.
So join us there.
Come out and celebrate.
Till next week. Next week we'll meet you again on Between Two Teachers.